Have you ever wondered why you do the things that you do that you know are not exactly good for you, but you find out you're doing them anyway? Yeah, that was me for a very long time when I was using alcohol as a way to either escape or, let's face it, reward myself at the end of a hard week. If that sounds like you, stick around because we are going to talk about self-sabotaging behaviors today and what you could do about them. If you're new here, my name is Carrie Schweer. I'm an executive lifestyle coach, and I provide tips that will help you move out of any gray area that you might have in your life, whether that is with alcohol, another self-sabotaging type of behavior, or with your relationships, career, or spiritually. Let's dive in, shall we? So why do we self-sabotage? Well, we don't do it consciously. We actually do it unconsciously. And this happens because we're hardwired to do certain patterns. Perhaps it's a limiting belief that you've had and formed over the past several years or decades, or it could be just something that you are doing because it feels good in the moment. And this is the reason why we actually use substances, or we escape looking at reels on TikTok, for example. We allow distractions to take over our world because we don't want to always have to deal with reality, and we don't want to deal with the feelings that we have inside that are causing us not to feel good. The reason why we do things is because of our feelings. Our feelings actually drive all of our actions. But before the feelings are there, this is actually stemming from what we believe about ourselves. It's our identity that drives our behaviors. But our thoughts contribute to our feelings, and the feelings drive those actions. So what can you do about it? The first thing you can do is look at the triggers. Look at some of the patterns that you've had over a period of time. Are you finding yourself being reactionary, for example, with someone at work that is really getting to you? And you're allowing their behavior and the way that they are impact how you're showing up. And then you come home and perhaps you are pouring a drink, or perhaps you're snapping at one of the kids or even the dog because of something someone else did. So we can see our patterns here of how someone or something has been affecting your thought pattern and how you've been reacting to it. Now notice the word react here. Act is in there. And when we react, we're actually giving it some action, but we react in a way that will provide judgment. And a lot of times judgment brings some negative feelings. And because those feelings are driving the actions, we can see how this is all starting to play a part into why we do the things that we do. So besides drinking or overeating or porn or smoking some weed before you go to bed or whatever it is, fill in the blank of self-sabotage, we have to start to see the reasons why we're doing it and the reward that we are receiving from it. And you are actually getting a reward, but only about 20 minutes or so. After that initial 20 minutes of reward and the dopamine's been kicked in, doesn't matter how much more you do, you're not going to get even more satisfied. It actually starts to lessen over time. And then, as you know, you probably have the guilt and the shame cycle that starts repeating over and over in your mind, asking yourself, why do I do the things that I do? And that just makes us feel even so much worse. And then we stay in this perpetual, never-ending cycle of not feeling great. It's a vicious cycle. It's a vicious cycle. So what can you do about it? Notice those triggers. Notice the patterns. Be very aware of what it is that you're thinking and be cognizant of the feeling that is being attached to it. And from that point, then you can start to make some decisions on what you're going to do. The second thing I want to talk about, besides looking at your thoughts, because that's so important, is before you actually act upon those feelings that you have, you want to stop, take a pause. In other words, take a step back so you can look at the situation in a big, broader view. And you want to be able to reflect on what it is you're thinking about. Again, going back to the thoughts, because they create the feelings that drive the actions. We want to reflect on what we're thinking about before we act. So I call that stop, pause, reflect before you act. When you give yourself that time and space to do that, you will always come out ahead. And remember, when you react to something, you tend to do it with judgment. Instead, get curious. When you respond instead of react, you do so with curiosity. And this provides you an opportunity to really see what's going on without the judgment, and you'll be able to make better decisions. And lastly, I'll say, it is really advisable that you talk this out with somebody, share it with somebody, whether you're working with a coach or a counselor or a therapist, or even calling a close friend or a family member who really loves you, that's going to tell you how it is, not just what you want to hear, but it's going to tell you the truth. Reach out to somebody and see what they can provide to you in terms of advice. Sometimes getting a non-biased opinion or another set of eyes on it can really help you. I want you to come from a place of knowing that self-sabotage can be dealt with. You can stop this endless cycle that you're doing, but you have to want it, you have to be committed to it, and you have to be able to put things into action. I hope this video helped you today, and I hope you'll be able to take some action, but do so with curiosity by responding. And remember, stop and pause and reflect before you act. If you found this video to be helpful, I appreciate a thumbs up, and perhaps you even want to subscribe to the channel. I'll have more videos just like this coming soon. Thanks for watching.